got a big heart, I can let you in. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world.
Well, that didn't work. Give me a second. Crying out loud. Oh, man. I messed that up. Give me a second. Let me get people over here. Where's my channel? Get the new live stream. Get the new link. Pop it in chat. There's a new link on chat. Please click to that to come to the correct live stream because I messed up. I am very, very sorry about that. Give me a second to flip over. See, I got to relearn all this stuff. I used to be really good at YouTube. Give me 1 second. Get chat popped out. Get a correct link up on Twitter. Goodness. I am very, very sorry. Hopefully everyone can catch up. How did that happen? All right, 1 second. Okay, new post. All right, how do I get to the other chat to tell everyone that we are here? And why am I vertical and not landscape? What's going on? I don't know. It looks normal on StreamYard, then it looks vertical on YouTube. I have no idea what's going on. I'm very sorry about this. Give me 1 more second. I'm trying to figure out how to get to everyone who's sitting over in chat on the other live stream that's not working. You came from the other chat? Okay, great. If I can get to the other chat, I would tell people to come over here. But I don't even see how to get to it now. You know, this is getting a bit much. Apparently, I have 2 live streams running. I don't even know which one to turn off. Let's see. Are they both showing the same thing? Seems to be. Let's see. They're both showing the same thing. I'm streaming it. How am I managing that? All right, I don't know what to do. Crying out loud. I guess I can go into my studio and shut down one of them, and whichever one goes. Crying out loud. Let's see. Live streams. I've got 2 running. I don't know which is which. I'm going to shut down this one. Delete. Okay, hopefully everyone will find us over here. Let's see if that turns that one off. And then we can get going. Because, man, we got too much to talk about tonight to be messing around with this garbage. Yes, BP or BGPO, you are in the correct live stream. This is the correct one. So, I think it's shutting down the other one. Hopefully, if you're in the other one, go to my channel, and there should be only one live stream showing now, or at least in a minute. Click that one. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. I tell you, this is crazy. All right, the other one is gone. This is the only live stream on my channel. Let me pull it up on my screen so I can make sure I'm seeing chat properly. Because that's important to me. I want to see what you guys are saying. All right, I have no idea why it is vertical. Give me 1 second to see if I can fix that. I told it to hide the vertical. Hide vertical. YouTube is showing. Well, who cares? Who cares? Just pretend. Okay, let's just pretend it's right. We'll go with that. All right. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. It's been many years since I've really gotten into the back end of YouTube. Things are so different, and I'm a little lost, but we'll figure it out. Figure it out. People are finding their way over here. I'm very happy about that. This is going to be episode 1. Yeah, I did shut down the first one, so hopefully everyone will find this one. If they reboot my channel, they should see this one and pop over here. Not sure where Boss Lady is. She is my moderator who is in the other one. So hopefully she'll find her way over here. Yeah. All right. Good times. Hi, Sherry. By the way, I did send out your crossbody bag this morning, so you should get it in probably 4 or 5 days, and hopefully you will really like it. So, all right, great. People are finding their way here. We're good. But yeah, Sherry, your purse is on the way, and so is Greer's. If she shows up tonight, I'll let her know that hers is on the way too. All right, so I have a lot planned. This is going to be, I wanted to do, obviously, we're talking about toxic relationships in all their forms. There you go. She found me. Thank you, Boss Lady. I'm so glad you got here. I messed it all up. Totally my fault. I'll do better next time. So this is episode 1 of the new series of Toxic Bliss, where we're going to be talking about toxic relationships in all their forms and all their horrible glory, and with a primary focus on how to get out of them, how to avoid them, and how to heal from them. So we stop falling into them. If you're anything like me, you tend to walk into them a lot, because I do. I find myself in them all the time. I need to get better at that. So we're going to get better at that together. We're going to learn together and grow together. That is my plan. Now, tonight I wanted to start with toxic internet relationships, because certainly that's something that's been on my mind a lot the last couple of weeks, But I want to talk about how to avoid them, how to spot them and avoid them so we don't get into them, but also how to get out of them if you're already in them, and then how to heal from them and move on smarter and better and stronger. That's a lot for one live stream. We could sit here for hours and hours. So I'm going to break it into 3 parts. Okay, tonight we're going to talk about the definition of a toxic internet relationship, because what exactly does that even mean? And then we're going to talk about how to avoid it. So tonight is how to avoid them from this moment forward, things we can do to keep ourselves out of them. And these are things that I really need to drill into my own brain, especially starting YouTube again. I'm going to be exposed to this a lot, and I need to keep myself safe so I don't fall into the same traps as others. Nope, we're not going to do 9 hours. No, we are not. Yeah, no. I have done a 9-hour live before covering court cases. Way back in the Valley, I was covering the preliminary hearing. We would go for 8 or 9 hours a day, and that was a nightmare. Even though when the court went to lunch, I could go to lunch. The court went to break, I could go to break. But that's still, after 9 hours of watching stuff and talking, ugh, do not like. I also really cannot stand this vertical thing on my screen. I do not know how to change that. Give me 1 second to look, because I really can't stand that. Banners, media, placement. Nope, that's not it. There's so much new stuff. I don't even know where to start. Camera, presets. No, I don't see it. Yeah, StreamYard launched this new thing today. Now you can stream in vertical and horizontal at the same time. And they don't really have an option here where I can change it. So, great. We're just going to have to deal with it. I'm sorry. So, tonight, what is a toxic internet relationship? Yeah, that's kind of a broad topic. It's not as easy to define as you might think, because it can come in so many forms. So, my definition, right, and I made this myself because I try to be smart. My definition of a toxic internet relationship is any relationship that forms from an exclusively internet-based connection, meaning that the interaction was not formed in real life. Okay, so it's someone you met on the internet and only on the internet. They're not part of your day-to-day life. Okay, but this relationship causes discomfort or manipulates a person to behave negatively, causing harm to oneself or others. Right, that's my definition. Now that can be a lot of things. And these can range from something that's minor annoyance to a disastrous real life consequences. So, toxic internet relationships can be very broad ranging. They can actually get into your real life and mess it up. I copy and paste a link to this live stream to the previous. Yeah, I did. That's one way to redirect people. Yeah, I did that earlier, but now that stream's gone, so I can't do that anymore. Um, but I'll remember that for next time, assuming I mess it up next time. All right, so let's talk about the different types of relationships on the internet that can get us into trouble. All right, and I've broken it down to a bunch of different categories. Looking at it from my perspective, I started with like content creators versus viewers versus social media users. Now, this covers YouTube, things like Twitch. You know, I'm a gamer, so I spend a lot of time on Twitch. I don't have a Twitch channel because I don't stream gaming. I tried that, didn't really, nah, not my thing. Um, but I approaching this from like a creator's point of view, right? And for me, the vast array of toxic relationships I can fall into is almost never ending. All right, so for me, there's a lot of things when I think about viewers. And there's a lot of people that can very easily create parasocial relationships with content creators. Right? Somebody who may watch me all the time suddenly thinks we're best friends and they should be able to just call me on the phone whenever they want or text me or come to my house. Okay, no, that's not happening, right? So that's a red flag for me. People that form very tight in their own minds, tight relationships with the creator. Uh, there's an unhealthy attachment that comes from that, and you see that a lot with people that just throw money at creators, like constant super chats and all this stuff. That to me is a red flag. Okay, that's something to watch out for. Um, they make demands, right? Like I have a lot of people who demand that I talk about something or demand that I don't talk about something. And well, if you're going to talk about that, then I'm not going to follow you. Well, okay, don't follow me. Okay. Just because someone is a viewer on my channel or may have subbed or something doesn't mean you get to dictate what I do. Right. And that's a boundary. We'll talk about boundaries a little bit later, but that's a boundary. So those are all red flags to me as a creator. Right? When people make demands, they start throwing lots and lots of money. Uh, they want to get really involved in my life and have access to me. And they get really angry if I do something they don't like. Like if I were to talk about politics, I would say 50% of my viewers would probably have a fit and call me all kinds of names and stomp off angry. But that anger can sometimes turn into a negative smear campaign. It can get really out of control very, very quickly. So there's a lot of red flags that I look for. And certainly I told you the story about Gertrude, that one person who really weaseled her way into my life and demanded to become a mod. And I finally made her a mod to kind of keep her happy. And it's been 5 years dealing with this one person. So there's a lot of red flags. But for viewers, there's also a host of red flags that you should look for in creators. All right, and this gets a little funky too. There's a lot of gray in this, so understand that I'm not giving you any hard and fast facts. These are very gray and fluid situations. Uh, for viewers, when you're looking at creators, right, and whether we're talking about Twitter posters, right, because a lot of people on Twitter, that's their content, is you can get paid to post a lot of tweets and this and that. Well, I guess it's X now. I'm always going to call it Twitter. That's just me. Uh, but when you're looking at creators, when you see a creator that focuses on negativity toward or of others, that should be a red flag. All right, if you're following a creator whose entire content is bashing somebody else or a host of other people, that's a red flag. Why so much negativity? Why are we focused on tearing other people down instead of something you have to offer other people? Right? Because that's not offering people anything. That's just making content out of drama. And that's a red flag for me. Um, We've seen a lot of creators do things like fake fundraisers for illnesses. People fake cancer and start a GoFundMe, or they pretend they're pregnant and start a GoFundMe. And you realize that they were never sick, they were never pregnant. So there's a lot of that happens with creators. Hyper monetization is something that also I find personally a red flag when they have a paid Substack and a paid this. There was a time where you had to subscribe to someone on Twitter in order to see some of their tweets. Like, really? No, I'm not doing that. Um, really high costs for monthly submissions, whether it's Patreon or YouTube subs, where really, really they're pushing it with the limit of what is even viable monetarily. That's something that I would question too. Now, granted, there are some people who make their money, they make their livelihood off YouTube. Okay, you need more than $1 a month subs. I get that, but I've seen some up to $15 and $20 a month just for a YouTube membership sub, not like Patreon or anything, just for YouTube. To me, that's pushing the boundaries a bit. So when they start to push the boundaries monetarily, I'm wondering what else is coming with that, right? So that's something to think about. And another one is questionable content. Now, this is where it gets really gray and fuzzy. I'm old, right? I'm Gen X. I have certain sensibilities in my head, and like I watch Twitch a lot because I do gaming, and a lot of the female Twitch creators will be playing a video game, sitting there in almost like no clothing, you know, and that I'm like, you can't wear a shirt while you play a game, just a little shirt, something, you know, that bothers me. But they get a lot of money. So I'm like, all right, more power to you if that's how you're going to make all your money. And they're making like many thousands of dollars a month. Okay. But that's not somebody I would subscribe to. Right. So you can have your own sort of levels of what you're willing to accept and not accept. And when someone doesn't hit your bar, you don't have to sub to them. You don't have to watch them. So those are red flags in creators. Intense drama, anything even hinting at fake fundraisers, hyper monetization, and questionable content. All right. But for me, the biggest thing is if I see a creator who does nothing but bash other creators, that really bothers me. That really, really bothers me. So that's something that you can watch for as a viewer when you're determining who you're going to put your support behind. Okay. Now, when we're talking about social media, all right, there's a lot of things that are negative on. So, like, have you read Twitter lately? They call it doom scrolling for a reason. There's not a lot of positive content on a platform like X. I'll try to say X. Uh, Most of it is really, really negative, doom and gloom, end of the world, really horrible things about other people. It's just it's a very toxic environment. All right. I'm not sure how it happened that way. It just did. And I don't like it. I used to follow like all the NASA pages and astronomers and astrophysicists and a lot of learning things and cat pictures and flowers, things that I really enjoy are most of who I follow on Twitter. But I very rarely see any posts from that nowadays. So that's kind of sad. Um, and that's something that we have to think about. I want to talk about the Karen Reed trial for a moment in this context. I watched the Karen Reed trial, right? I heard about it long ago. I knew who Turtle Boy was. I knew a lot of the drama surrounding him. I knew that the different camps started to form, the free Karen Reed and the anti-free Karen Reed camps. There were two very distinct camps. And I'm like, that's interesting how they're so opposed. There was no middle ground. They didn't talk to each other. They just screamed at each other and went at it. They attacked each other constantly, right? And it got really bad and it got real life. And I'm like, wow, all right, that's it. That's not good. But me, as someone who was kind of middle of the road with that case, I'm like, I mean, when you just look at the surface of the case, it certainly does look like she hit John O'Keefe. Huh. But then when you look at his injuries, I'm like, yeah, that didn't come from a car. What's that from? Right. So I was really on the fence with this case. Like, she could have, but these things are telling me she maybe didn't. But if she didn't, then what else could have happened? And I want to hear what's going on in the trial. So I listened to both trials. Uh, and to this day, for me, I can't sit here and tell you what happened to John O'Keefe, right? We don't know what happened to John O'Keefe. And to me, that's the bottom line, is if you can't prove it either way, she should be acquitted, right? Did she hit him? Maybe. I don't think so. I was very, very convinced by the defense's evidence regarding his injuries that that did not come from a car, right? But maybe she hit him and then maybe something else happened. I don't know. But for me to voice that on Twitter, I would have been mercilessly attacked from both sides. From both sides. The free Karen Reed people would come at me saying, you're so stupid, blah, 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 blah. How can you have any doubts, blah. And then the anti people, you're so stupid, of course she hit him, anybody could see that. And it's like, oh, there was no way to be your own thinker in that situation, right? You were not allowed to have your own independent thoughts about it that didn't completely align with one side or the other. And that's the problem. That's the problem with that case is, and that's the problem with social media as a whole, is you have to be in a camp, one camp or the other, in order to be protected from the other camp, regardless of what you think. And I'm like, that is insane to me. Absolutely insane. Where I would love to sit down and have a debate about the case. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this really weird injury on his arm. That doesn't look like it came from a car to me. It just doesn't. So let's talk about it. Why do you think it does? Right? And I'll tell you why I think it doesn't. And we can just, and maybe together we'll come up with a better answer. Right? But you can't do that on social media anymore. You can't. You have to pick a side and stick to that side, or you're just going to get completely trounced. And that's a huge problem because it stifles independent thinking. Uh, it stifles your ability to take a set of facts and process it yourself without having to know what somebody else thinks about it first. Right? I don't need to know what Turtle Boy thinks about this for me to come up with my own idea about what that is. And if my ideas align with his, okay, great. If they don't, okay, great. Right? So that's a problem. That's a big problem. And we see that all the time on social media. People come on social media, especially on something like X, looking for things to get mad about. They literally scroll through content looking for things to yell about instead of just post. Remember when we used to post fun things like what we had for lunch? Right? That was fun. Nobody going to yell at me about, well, nowadays, people would absolutely yell at you about what you're having for lunch. How can you eat those carbs? Or you shouldn't eat that. That's poison. Or you're eating seed oils. Curses. It's like, dude, I had a clam roll. It was delicious. What? We don't need to fight about it. But people love to fight about everything. And that bothers me. Absolutely bothers me to my core. So I don't post a lot on social media. I read Twitter a lot because I want to stay abreast of what's going on in the news. But even that, it's not good for that anymore. It's not. Any breaking news I used to always get on Twitter first. You'd get the story first, you'd get lots of background information, and you'd get all the information fast as lightning on Twitter. Now it's not even that anymore. And all of the NASA websites, like I had 20 or 30 NASA pages for all the different missions and things like that. Those are all shut down now because they shut all that down because they pulled all this funding from NASA. It's like, well, that's not helpful to me anymore. So what do I do on Twitter? I just look and that's terrible, and then close it because I don't want to be depressed all day. So we have to watch out for stuff like that because we expose ourselves to it, and it's very easy to internalize it, and it's very easy to jump on the bandwagon. It is so easy. I have to stop myself sometimes from jumping on bandwagons because you see a bunch of people really mad about something. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'm mad about that too. Why? I've never even heard of that till today. Why am I getting all upset about it? Right. So that's something that we can do to keep ourselves a little bit more safe is to not jump on those bandwagons. If something is terrible, okay, that's terrible. That doesn't mean you need to go posting it and yelling about it and swearing up and down. Just don't. Just don't do it. And the hate trains, that leads into the hate trains, where if somebody gets mad at somebody, all of that person's friends will go yell at the other person. And then you just get these groups, these mobs that wander through social media just yelling at random people. They have no idea who they are. But somebody else is mad at them, so I'm going to be mad at you too. Ha, so mad. It's like, okay. That's not normal. It's not normal and it's not healthy, but that is what we have. We have that in spades right now. So social media itself is a whole monster of toxicity. I can't tell you the last time I spent 20 minutes on Twitter scrolling my feed and coming away feeling, oh, that was fun. I learned some stuff. Cool. Mm-mm. Now I'm just like, yikes, or ugh, yee, whoa, look at that. Oh, they're mad at that person. Wow. Huh. It's all just nasty. So it's a hard thing to approach social media and use social media without falling into those traps and becoming just like everybody else. It's very hard. I'm guilty of it, especially with the political stuff. I have had some political tweets that were not nice because I am so fed up with what's going on, and it's like, I don't want to do that. So I'm like, all right, I need to stop. I just need to stop looking at it. Right. So I've changed my Twitter followers list. I don't look at the For You page anymore because that recommends all kinds of nonsense. I just look at who I'm following. And if it's going to be nasty, I'm just going to unfollow them because that's it. You have to make those choices. And that's a hard choice. So, uh, social media is a big part of the toxic internet dramas. Now, we also have um, how social media can turn very personal and not just social media, like anything, YouTube, Twitch, X, Facebook, anything like that can turn very, very personal. And this is where I have a big issue. All right, and this is something that I think every single person on the internet has fallen prey to at one time or another, where you can be chatting in a live stream on YouTube and maybe you see someone who has a lot of great comments. You're like, oh, hey, I connect with that person. We have a lot of stuff in common, and this seems cool. And maybe you'll exchange emails and you'll start chit chatting. And those people can get very close to you very quickly. Oh, where do you live? Oh, I live here. Oh, yeah, we should go out for lunch. They're pixels on a screen that you met 24 hours ago. And you're going to go out and meet them for lunch? Eh, maybe. But they can get very close very fast, where they will do things like trauma dump, tell you all of their life's traumas, their entire life story, and start asking you for all of yours, right? Pulling information out of you. And it's hard sometimes to see that as a red flag because we all want to make friends. Who doesn't want to make friends? Right. And it's fun to find people that you connect with over certain hobbies or spirituality or whatever it is. When you think that you connect with someone, it's like, oh, hey, this could be a really cool person. But when it goes that fast, where within a couple days you're planning to meet for lunch or you're exchanging addresses or personal phone numbers, it goes really quickly. And before you know it, you're embroiled in this relationship you can't get out of. Right? So one of the red flags for me is always people that want to get really close really fast. Okay. And that's a thing. Uh, People that push boundaries. I know this is something that I come up against a lot because I'm not always very good at maintaining my own boundaries. So we're going to talk about boundaries next. But people that push them, even though you know they know what your boundaries are. When they push them, that's a big red flag. And it's hard to pay attention to that because you feel like the bad person. At least I do. If someone's pushing one of my boundaries, like, hey, I really want to talk to you on the phone, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't give out my phone number to people from YouTube. Oh, but I really need to talk to you. This is really, really important. Okay, great, but you can email me. No, no, no. I have to do this on the phone. Please let me call you. And I'm like, I just said I don't give out my phone number. And then you end up in a 2-hour argument over why I won't give someone my phone number. Right? That's pushing a boundary. And that shows a lack of respect. Okay. And a lot of people don't understand that. If you've stated a boundary clearly and someone's pushing it, then they're not respecting you. Because if they respected you, they would respect that boundary. Right? And be like, okay, let's talk over email. Let me tell you the story and tell me what you think about it because I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, great. That's perfect. But no, I can't put it in email. I have to talk to you. Well, I'm sorry. You'll have to call one of your friends. But I am under no obligation to give you my personal phone number. Right. So pushing boundaries is a big, big, big red flag. And when someone starts to push my boundaries now, I'm going to react very differently than I used to. I used to kind of give in because I would always feel like the bad person. And I don't want to feel like the bad person. And I'm thinking, oh, this person might really need to talk to me. Maybe it's really important and I should take their call. No, no. And I'll tell you why. Because if this is a stranger that I don't know, right? I've never met, they've never met me. We do not know each other. They're just somebody from the internet who found my channel or something. What am I going to do to help them on the phone that someone in their actual life couldn't do better, right? If they have a situation that's so dire and so big that they need help immediately, they should have people in their life that they can call. It shouldn't be a random person on YouTube. Right? So, you know, boundaries are important. So let's respect them. A lot of people you'll see have an extreme need for attention when you meet them. Say you meet someone in a YouTube chat and you're getting along great and you exchange emails, you chit chat maybe a couple times a week, but then all of a sudden they send you an email and you don't answer it quickly. Why didn't you answer my email? Are you mad at me? What did I do? I'm so sorry if I offended you. Please don't be mad at me. You're like, what? No, I was just busy. I was shopping and doing stuff. I didn't get to your email right away. I'm sorry. They're like, okay, well, I need to talk to you right away. Oh, okay, well, and then you answer them. But the next time, if you don't answer their email right away, see, I knew you were mad at me. You don't like me, do you? And you're feeling like, what is happening? What is wrong? No, it's okay. Have you ever had situations like that where you don't respond immediately and then that person instantly assumes you're mad at them or you don't like them or they did something to upset you and you're like, no, I was just busy. And they don't respect that, right? They don't say, okay, all right, you're just busy. It's okay. No, they get angry with you. And then it gets worse and worse and worse. That is a huge immediate red flag. Immediate. Um, Certainly in a familial setting, it's a little bit different. But for strangers on the internet, if you just met someone and you're just emailing back and forth and they're getting angry with you for not responding in what they think is a timely manner, there's some issues there. Could be a codependency issue, could be something else, but it's not right. It's just not right. Now, I have some real life friends that I text every day, and we all have there's this general understanding that if I don't respond right away, I was busy doing something, but I'll get to it as soon as I can, right? Sometimes they don't answer me right away, and I'm like, oh, that's right, they're doing something today, huh? But I don't get mad about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, they'll answer me when they can, and they always do. Right? Never crosses my mind, oh, they must be mad at me. They didn't answer me. So if you're having thoughts, whichever side of that you're on, it's a red flag. If you're thinking, oh, they must be mad at me, they didn't answer me, stop, take a deep breath, do a little self introspection on that. And if you are the person getting the angry messages, you maybe need to have a chat with that person. Say, listen, you're kind of pushing a boundary here. Okay, so the extreme need for attention is a big problem. Okay, let me sip a soda. Very sorry. And one of the last hallmarks I have in the personal, like one-on-one social media type friendships that get very toxic is problem ownership. Like, this kind of goes back. Grandpa Potato, hi. I'm so happy to see you. Grandpa Potato is another great mod here. Someone who is just brings a light that I can't replicate. So, hi, Grandpa Potato. Glad you're here. Uh, Problem ownership. This goes back to the extreme need for attention, right? If I don't get, like, I do my emails maybe once a day. Sometimes, like today, I haven't even opened my email yet. I don't know. It could be something there that I should have read this morning, but I'll get to it when I get to it. If I open an email tomorrow, it says, I sent you an email yesterday, you didn't respond. Why aren't you answering me? I thought you were going to, answer your emails. You promised you would. I'm like, yeah, eventually I will. And they get very upset about it. That's when you have to stop and understand problem ownership. Right? When that happens to me, I have to stop and say, okay, this person's reaction is not my problem. That's a them problem. Right? They're getting hyper attached, they're pushing boundaries, they're exhibiting extreme need for attention, and I'm uncomfortable with that. But that's on them. They have something going on in their life that's causing them to react that way. It's not you. And it's hard to remember that because you feel like a bad person. Say, hey, sorry, that's a you problem. I'll get to my emails when I get there. Hi, Snow Remover. How are you? Um, so problem ownership is a big deal. Like today, this was an interesting one. I've talked about setting up a Discord channel uh, for this community so people can chat with each other and we can have topics running about all of these issues. And someone put in a comment um, asking me if I was going to be available in the Discord server. And my instant knee jerk reaction was, uh-oh, why? Right now, I do plan on being present in the Discord server. Certainly, if it's a Discord server being run under my name, I want to know what's going on there and make sure everything's going well, right? Keep it flowing nice and happy. But what I heard was, am I going to be able to talk to you whenever I want to? I'm like, no, no, you won't. I will be there, but in a very limited way. And that's a boundary that I have to establish very clearly. So, and that's going to be a problem ownership issue. Do I own the problem of people angry that they can't private message me on Discord all day? No, I don't. They own that problem, right? So, problem ownership is hard because it does tend to make you feel like a bad person, especially if you're like me, where I get upset if I upset people. You have to kind of deal with that and make yourself feel comfortable first. It's okay in situations like that to put yourself first, and that's something we overlook all the time. People like me, right? People who are can be a little codependent, who can be a little empathic. You tend to put the other person's feelings before your own. And it's okay not to do that. And it's a hard thing to do because you will feel a bit guilty, but you're keeping yourself safe. So that's something to consider. Something to consider. So those are the basic types of toxic internet relationships. It can be between viewers and creators, between creators and viewers, between viewers and viewers, and just basically personal social media users. Anyone can find themselves embroiled in something that is very toxic. Now, one thing that I wanted to talk about in relationship to this topic, not specific people, right, is I saw over the weekend a lot of drama exploding for some true crime channels. I don't know if they're true crime channels, and they're more drama channels. Uh, but the toxicity that exploded between 4 or 5 different creators and all of the viewers who are subbed to like all of these channels. Now Everybody is fighting everybody. And like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? That's something I don't understand. Why the need for this? The Krama, yeah, the Krama channels. It's completely off the rails. It has gone so far off the rails that I can't make heads or tails of it, and I don't want to. So I'm like, yeah, I'm tapping out. Gotta go. Other things to do. But when you see a situation that dramatic unfolding, all of the viewers of these channels are very upset. They're literally like crying over this and fuming over this and raging over this stuff. And that's when I think we need a collective reboot button for everyone to kind of sit back and be like, okay, these four creators that none of them are in my house. None of them come to my house. They're not my real life. And the line between real life and internet life gets blurred so badly that no one involved in it can remember that that's not real life. It's not. There are very adult people involved. Well, they're older people. They're not kids. These are allegedly adults, but they're not behaving in a very adult way. It is very extremely toxic and frightening. It's frightening how toxic it gets because we're talking now there's threats of lawsuits, and I know one of the creators has swatted people in the past. Is that going to start happening again? That's a nightmare. Nobody wants an armed SWAT team showing up at their house banging down their door, especially if they've got kids and oh, I cannot believe anyone has ever actually done that, and that's happened a lot. I don't want to see that happening again. It's terrifying. It is literally terrifying. But when you see all of these people, and I'm sitting back here watching it from afar. I'm not involved. I'm not, not part of any of these people's experience at all. And I'm watching thinking, these are people that are so angry with other people on the internet they have never met or ever will meet. Why don't they just go watch something else? All right, what is it in our brain chemistry that makes it so hard to stop getting involved in it? That's a big thing. And that's what we're going to talk about in Thursday's episode is what happens when you're embroiled in this level of drama. How do you get yourself out of it without doing any damage? Because it's not as easy. See, what I said last time, I said it's easy as just turning it off and walking away. But it's not that easy. It is, but it isn't. It's very hard to explain. A lot of people do crave drama because there is that part of the brain that experiences things that remind us our life isn't that bad. Does that make sense? Where if you're experiencing drama on the internet that is the worst internet drama ever, still when you go outside and sit on your patio and you're having a drink, you're like, huh, glad my life isn't that bad. Phew. Right? But it's like, but you're taking part in that drama, you're feeding it, you're fueling it. Okay, but your real life is good. It helps, give us a counterbalance, right? My life is so good. I have to remember it's so good by experiencing all this negative on the internet. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Um, Cat's Pajama says, I know this sounds trite, but it does show you more about them, and for sure it helps me determine where I will spend my time. Yes, exactly. That's not trite. That's a good point. Because when you see that kind of stuff and you're like, no, I recognize this, I'm out, then you know that you're spending time where you're getting something useful, something helpful, something productive, or something positive out of it instead. Yeah. Drama is inevitable, and people, I mean, look at some of the shows we watch on TV, right? The more dramatic, the more entertaining it is. Drama can be very entertaining. I prefer it when it's a fictional setting, like a TV show or a movie, right? I dislike it when it's real people fighting with each other and doing real life nasty things to each other. That's a whole different ball game to me. A lot of people can watch YouTube drama and be like, huh, like they're watching a TV show. Right? Wow, look at that. Oh, look at this one did. Woohoo, look at that. And okay, that can be entertaining, but when you realize that this stuff is having real life consequences over nonsense on the internet, it can be distressing. And it bothers me how many people fuel it. They fuel it, they make it worse, they stir the pot, and oh, it's just crazy. Um, it's very easy to fall into that trap, especially if it's a creator that you really like that gets embroiled in a drama. Then you might want to come to their defense. So you take off, fighting their enemies, or you want to follow it to know what's going to happen, or you feel emotionally invested because it's a parasocial relationship. You feel that creator's drama, you feel it in yourself, and you feel part of it. It's very easy to get sucked into it. It is very not easy to get out of it. So that'll be for Thursday. How do you break free of those situations? Because it can be pretty challenging. Um, but I wanted to talk about one of the first steps that we can take to keep ourselves safer from these toxic internet relationships. What can we do to make sure we don't fall into them? What can we do to make sure we avoid them at all costs? How can we keep everything at arm's length and stay healthy? But let me have another sip of soda before we go there. Beachside just said, unfortunately, in the true crime world of YouTube, the drama spills over can hurt victims' family. Absolutely. That is exactly why I came back to YouTube. Because the victims' families were harmed by some internet drama from one certain person that I'm not going to say her name anymore. I'll call her Voldemortina. I don't know. But that's why I came back to YouTube, because it was hurting the victims' families and I could stay silent no longer. And that happens a lot because if you're covering true crime, you may be talking with the families. You may have interviewed the families. You may have them on your channel. They may be watching your content, even if they're not making themselves known. And it can hurt them. And that's just crazy. We've seen with the Watts case, people using the family members against other YouTubers. Like two creators would be fighting. One of them would get one of the family members on to bash that other creator, and vice versa. And it was like you're using the victims' families as pawns in your drama, and that's awful. That is absolutely disgusting. So there you have it. Um, let's get back to our healthy boundaries. Lots of healthy boundaries. This is the main thing that we can do to keep ourselves from getting embroiled in toxic relationships, whether they are with creators or viewers or just other social media users. We got to keep ourselves safe. The first thing, and now these are suggestions that I have, that I've used, that I have made sure my children were using, because I've been very vigilant about making sure my children are safe on the internet. Because that they're in a whole different generation. They're much more exposed to the internet than I ever was at their age. So I gave them a lot of what I thought were very healthy groundings for their approach. The first one is to always use an internet name, right? I don't use my real name on the internet because remember when I started the internet, it was on AOL. And what'd you do on AOL? You made a fun screen name, right? Like Celestial Starry Princess or you know, He-Man 47, whatever. You always made a screen name based on your personality or whatever part of your personality you were trying to project to the world. But you had a screen name that was not your real name. Now, back in those days, it was a given to never use your real name on the internet. Nobody did. Okay, you were like from day one, do not use your real name, right? And that seemed to be a smart thing. And so I grew up so to speak, but I've always approached the internet that way, right? And that's not a bad thing to do. Okay. Uh, yep, I'm gonna hit that in a minute. So remember that is a very good one. All right, so try to use an internet name if you can. Certainly on X and YouTube, you don't need to use your real name. If you are using your real name, okay, you can, A lot of people are comfortable with that. I'm not. And for anyone who's trying to be a little bit safer, make a screen name that is not your real name. That's a really good first step. The next thing, don't give out your address or other personally identifying information. Now, this can happen very easily. Like I had to send out those two crossbody bags that I gave away. And I'm like, okay. Now those people had to trust me with their name and address. That's that's something I'm saying not to do, right? So I got to come up with a better plan for this because I like to do giveaways, but I don't really want people having to give out their personal details, right? And certainly for me, I'm at the post office and they're like, you need to put a return address. Like, no, I don't. Like, yes, you do. I'm like, no, I literally do not have to put a return address on this envelope because I didn't want to do that. And he said I had to. So my husband just made up something. I forget what he made. He just made up random names. I was like, just put the North Pole, right? And the guy at the post office is looking at us like, what are you two up to? Why don't you want your address on here? I was like, dude, we're not doing it. So I said, next time just put the post office address as the return address. So if it gets returned, it'll go there. Right? That's good. So it's very hard sometimes to yeah, that's a good idea, BZ Mama. That's a good idea. Uh Mariah freaking Carey. Yeah, could try that. So I might just use the North Pole or something from now on. But it's very difficult sometimes to how do you deal with your address, all right? So only give it out to people you really really trust, and that's always a very good basic rule of thumb on the internet. Same with your phone number. uh, I have a burner phone that I've had for a while, but I've used it too much, right? So I'm going to get a new burner phone so that for people I do actually want to speak with, if we're not talking in Discord, I have a phone number I can use for call-ins to the show, or just a number that is disposable and I can toss it and get a new one whenever I feel I need one, right? So burner phones are good. Or you can use the Google feature. You can get a Google temporary phone number and just use that. Excuse me. Avoid info phishing activities. This is a big one. And a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of times on Twitter, you'll see one of those things that say, give yourself 1 point for everything in this list that you've done, right? And you're going through it, check, 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 check. Oh, look, I got 35 points out of a possible 40. You know how much information you've just given someone? That's a lot of information about yourself and your life. Or those quizzes. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? What town did you grow up in? All that kind of stuff. It's like that you're giving strangers a ton of information about you that they can very easily use against you. And those Facebook quizzes, like all your favorites, that's always been a very big thing for child predators, because the kids would do those quizzes all the time. And then if you're a predator, you're looking at this like, okay, I know their favorite movie, their favorite TV show, favorite actor, favorite ice cream, favorite food, where they go to school, da 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 da. And then you create a persona to be their best friend. And you have all of this information that you can use to say, look, we have so much in common. Oh, I love that movie too. That's the best movie ever. Oh yeah, that's my favorite music. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. And that's how people can suck you in easily, by pretending to have all of this stuff in common. That happened to me 5 years ago with one of my viewers. She started emailing me. We had so much in common. We liked the same artists. We liked the same movies. We had the same spirituality path. We had all of these things in common. Where I couldn't believe it. Like, wow, we must be soulmates. No, we were not soulmates. Oh no. Oh no. It didn't end well. So be very careful with the information that you give out on the internet. Even things like I have my personal Facebook, right, which was for high school friends to reconnect with and all that. That was never linked to my YouTube person. So that was safe. But I got rid of that because even that got to be a little crazy. Like, this, I don't need to know all of this stuff about these people. And I didn't want to put that kind of information about me. So I just deleted it. It's gone. I have my Eamon Reese Facebook page that I don't think I've posted on in years. So and I don't use it. I don't like Facebook. I think Facebook is incredibly invasive. Um, and when you think about Facebook, right? Think about, you have your Facebook page. Now, if you're determined to use Facebook, have two. Have one for your internet name and only people you know on the internet, and another one for your real life friends and family if you have to use it. Do not connect the two, and don't have any crossover between the two, because a lot of people will look up Facebook, they'll find you on Facebook, right? And they'll look at your friends list, and then they click on your friend, and then they see your friends' friends, and then they see that all of these friends are also friends with this one person. Ha, I bet that's you. And then they look at that one and they see all those internet. Yeah, there you go. You've just connected your real life stuff to your internet stuff just because you have similar friends. So when internet people want to find out what's going on, they will find out what's going on. And Facebook is one of the leading ways that that happens. So be very careful what you're doing on Facebook and who your friends are and all of this stuff. Yeah, some of the search engines will connect them for you. Let me tell you a story about that. I had a LinkedIn account, right? That was not my, it wasn't Awen Reese. It was not my real name. It was a business name that I had when I was writing video game reviews for a small company. I loved doing that. I would play the game, I'd write a review, write a walkthrough, and it was great. I'd get paid a couple $100. That was beautiful. Paid for my gaming addictions, right? Now, the name that I had used for that was a name given to me by that company because they had all of their, their fun names for all of their posters, all of their reviewers. So it wasn't a name I had picked; it was a name the company picked. Um, and I had nothing on there about my real life, like not where I lived, not like nothing. Somehow, a search engine connected my narcissist ex with that LinkedIn account, because I logged in one day to check and I had a message from him saying, "Hey, I'm so glad I found you. How are you doing? Can we talk?" I about pooped my pants, right? Because, first of all, how did LinkedIn connect me with that? Was it just because I would log in and it knew my Google I mean, I don't know how. I don't know how that happened. That is a psycho ex. Yes, it is. Someone that I have hid from for many years. Um, but he found me through a LinkedIn profile that had nothing to do with my real life. Terrifying. Absolutely. You know how fast I deleted LinkedIn and then never logged into that again. But that was terrifying. So there are sometimes you cannot effectively hide on the internet, you know? But yeah. Yeah. Darvo says, anyone who shamed someone for using a screen name and not their real name is extremely sus to me. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm the way, like, you're using your real name on the internet. Are you okay? Why would you do that? You know, from my perspective, I think it's absolutely crazy to use your real name on the internet. But then again, from my experience, for me, that makes more sense. Some people may have had only positive experiences on the internet. I don't know how you did that, but more power to you. I am amazed and thrilled if you haven't had that. So that's great. Um, but yeah, so the LinkedIn thing really bothered me. All kinds of information you put on the internet gets collated somewhere, right? We're talking Meta or any of that, the Palantir thing. There's so much going on with AI and social media where somebody somewhere knows who all your accounts are, right? So you've got to be very careful. You were shamed by Ice T for not using my name on X, and I called him out. Right, because Ice T is his real name? Really? Oh my God. People are so delicate. Goodness. Um, so, yeah, avoid info phishing activities like the quizzes and stuff, because you'll be inadvertently putting out so much information that people can use to weasel their way close to you, and you won't see it coming. All right, so be very careful. And I know a lot of people, certainly recently, in how bad things have gotten on social media have just wiped their accounts and started brand new accounts with completely clownish names, and that's it. Because now they know better, having been through these types of relationships, not to put anything identifying on the internet. Uh, it's very scary. Dara says people creators trying to present it as anyone who doesn't use their real name then can't be trusted is mysterious. Yeah, well, yeah, I've had that because when people, I have said from the beginning that Awen Reese was not my real name. It's a family name. I have connections to the name. Reese is a family name. Awen is a family name. It's also a spiritual thing for me. So yeah, okay, I am Welsh. It's a Welsh name. I don't feel weird using it, right? And someday, if I ever change my name, I would legally change it to Eamon Reese because I wish that was my name. So there you go. But if people have come at me, and said, "That's not your real name. How can I trust you?" I was like, "You can trust me because I'm smart enough not to use my real name on the internet. I learned a few things. All right, how's that?" Uh, yeah. So people get angry, but I don't. I don't care. I don't care. If they think I can't be trusted, then they can go watch somebody else's channel. Right? It's easy as that. Um, Let's see. Let's talk about going back to my list of healthy boundaries. Be slow to make friends. I like to think of it as be kind, but be reserved. Right? And that's hard. It's very hard, especially talking about like my Toxic Bliss podcast series. I got a lot of emails from women in very similar situations. They're like, "Man, I'm dealing with this right now. Your podcast makes so much sense to me. It's like you're living my life. How do I, what do I do?" And I'd want to talk to them, obviously, right? And we talk about it a lot. And I always felt like I don't want to give too much of myself because I don't know if this is a real person or if this is somebody just trying to get close to me and using a story as the mechanics of it. And it was scary. It was. But most of the time I would err on the side of, all right, they're probably not making this up. Let me talk to them. And I would be able to talk and help people. But some of them were actually making it up just to get close to me. That's scary. That's really scary. So be very slow to make friends. You can be as kind as anything, but you can still keep your private life private. Okay. It's hard, but you can do it. Um, the next thing on the list is avoiding negative gossip. This should be a very hard and fast boundary. Okay. I know the temptation is there, you know, but if you avoid negative gossip, you're not going to get sucked into those hate trains and those mobs, right? You're not going to get sucked into those bandwagons. If you come across someone in your day-to-day social media life who is constantly negatively gossiping, "Oh my god, did you see what so and so did? You're not going to believe it. Oh, they're such a bitch. Oh my god." Right? No, sorry. Take that somewhere else. Take it somewhere else, right? Um, like BZ Mama says, if you don't talk about others, you avoid it. Very true. You just, or if you say anything about others, make it always be positive. And there you go. You cannot get sucked into those situations if people know you're not going to do that. It's just a thing. Yep, steering clear of it is the best way to avoid a lot of this. Right? So if you find someone who's constantly negatively gossiping about others, just be like, "Okay, bye. You can go play in your part of the internet. I'm still over here in mine." Uh, and if you're only speaking positively of people, a lot of people, you'll find people get bored of you. Right? If you only like if I only sat here and said, "I like this YouTube creator. They're really nice. This one's really nice. That one's really nice." I'm not gonna say anything negative about, "Oh, well, you're boring." And they go somewhere else. Like, okay, good. So that can be a sword and a shield, right? Because if you're not engaging in the negative, the people that want to do that will get bored of you very quickly and go somewhere else. And that's exactly what we want them to do, right? Small talk is safe. Yep. I can talk about the weather. It was really cold here. I actually have a story about the weather. We'll do that later. Uh, the next thing, avoid the hate trains. And that's another hard, especially if you're involved in communities, whether it's um, X or Blue Sky or YouTube or Twitch. If you're in a community and everybody's really mad at someone else, it's very hard to avoid jumping on that hate train. But that's where you really gotta dig deep. Be like, nope, I'm not playing. I'm not gonna go leave mean comments over there because that's not what I do. I don't do that. You guys can do that if you want. I'm not taking part in it. Right? So avoid the gossip and the hate trains. And the biggest one, and this is something that's hard on both sides, is to respect the boundaries of others. Right? When people say, I really don't want to talk about that, don't push them. Right? And if you say you don't want to talk about that and somebody's pushing, well, just tell me this. Well, what about this? No, I said I don't want to talk about that. And they're pushing you, that's a person that you need to walk away from because they will constantly push your boundaries. If you give in once, it's going to be twice as bad the next time, right? So don't let people push your boundaries and respect the boundaries of others. And if someone is disrespecting your boundaries, you need to walk away, right? Because there's something that they're looking for that is not just a nice, respectful relationship. There's something different that they want. And remember, when we're dealing with toxic people and especially with narcissists, every piece of information you give them will be used against you at some point. It's like the Miranda rights, only worse, right? Everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. What a narcissist is doing is every piece of information you give me about yourself will be used against you as a weapon for manipulation and control or humiliation at some point, right? So this is why I'm saying all of these things about your personal information. Don't trauma dump. Don't give a lot of information about your life and your past and negative things that you've experienced because they will take that and they will use it against you. They really will. And it's horrifying sometimes when, like with my ex, we were really close, I thought, and I would tell him all of my darkest secrets or my biggest fears, and that is what he would use against me later on. He would take something I was terrified of, right? Like I have an irrational fear of fires. I've never been in a fire. I used to be a property manager and I've had some buildings burned down and apartment fires and things like that. And they always terrified me. Like, what is the scariest thing? I just have a phobia of fire. And he would use that against me. He would walk around, I'm going to set the curtains on fire. Haha, won't that be funny? And walk over there with a lighter like he was actually going to do it. Just knowing how that would flip me out. Right. So even telling someone something you're really scared of can become a weapon to be used against you. And we have to realize there are just people like that out there, and they're going to be out there. So to keep ourselves safe, we don't give them those tools. Right? Uh, Busy Mama, I see what you're saying about friends, and let's talk about that for a minute because when I was on YouTube years ago, I was very open. I was very open. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was kind of lonely because I didn't get out much because I was always home. I'm disabled, so I don't go out by myself. I have to go out with my husband because I need assistance. And so I was home a lot. Most of the time, I was home. I'm also a bit of an introvert, so I don't really mind being home all day. When the COVID lockdown, I was like, man, I have been training for this for years. Bring it. I loved it. Right? I don't have to go out. I'm not getting dressed. I had jammies for days. It was great. Uh, so I was kind of happy, but being on YouTube, suddenly it was like all these people, and man, all these people liked me and they wanted to be my friend. This is great. So I was jumping into everybody's going to be my friend. I'm going to have 2,000 best friends. This is great. Right? I loved it. Yeah. Yeah, that was a lesson. That was a lesson. Blessings. I like your name. That's a great name. Blessings is something we should all have. Excellent name. Glad to see that change. Um, yeah, I wanted to have all these friends, and it felt wonderful, right? But when I realized after a while that most of them were not friends, they were people who just wanted to maybe get a little bit in the spotlight, by being close to a creator. For some reason, I don't understand why people think being close to or friends with a YouTube creator reflects on them, but a lot of people do, right? And that's kind of weird. But we'll talk about that another time. But wanting to have all of these friends burned me really hard in the end. Really, really hard. Now, I did make some amazing friends that to this day are still amazing friends. Some of them are here right now in this channel, I'm not going to say who they are because that's dumb. But they know who they are. And I trust them with my life, and they bring so much light into my life. And that's what it's about. Do you bring light into somebody else's life? Great. Do your friends bring light into your life? If they don't, maybe you got to stop and think about that. But all of these friends I made just from being on YouTube, 99% of them had nothing that they wanted to share in life with me other than, oh, I know a YouTube creator. That was it. And they can turn on you on a dime. On a dime. And all of a sudden, one person who is throwing super chats at you and throwing all kinds of love at you, you say one thing that they really didn't like too much, and boom, they are smearing you all over Twitter. You're like, what? How'd that happen? I thought you really liked me. One tiny little thing and you're flipped out. Okay. All right. So it's very hard to come back to YouTube and be like, okay, the person that I am, if I'm like out at the grocery store and somebody drops something, I'm the person they're bending up, picking up for them and asking them how they are, right? And, ooh, friend. I see a person, I think, ooh, could that be a friend? Could that be a friend? I love making friends, but I have very, very few actual close friends because what I've learned, unfortunately, what I learned through YouTube is don't trust anyone. Don't. And that's sad. And that's something that I hit on a little bit the other night is we have to find the balance between wanting to make friends. Everybody wants to make friends. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make friends. But the balance between a healthy level of mistrust. That doesn't sound like a healthy thing to be mistrustful. But on the internet, it really, really is. Okay? It really is healthy not to trust people. And it is sad. BZ, it really is. Let me get another sip of soda here. Some of the people who hurt me the worst and who burned me the worst were people that I thought of as actual very good friends. And that's a painful thing to go through. To have someone who one day you're calling your best friend, and the next day they are launch an all-out war to destroy you, and you're like, what just happened? And nothing happened to cause it. They may make up all kinds of things of what happened, but none of that actually happened. And that's shocking. It shocked me to my core. And there are two people in this world who experienced that moment with me, watching this person do that to me. Someone who just 12 hours prior, I thought I was going to grow old with, and we were going to sit on a porch and drink lemonade and make fun of people that walk by, right? That was my plan. We were going to grow old together, best friends. 12 hours later, they are literally launching a war against me, making up the most outrageous shit I've ever heard. What does that do to your brain, right? It's like, have you ever seen the movie The Truman Show? The Truman Show was an interesting movie. The first time I saw it in the theater with my real life girlfriend many years ago, came out what, 30, 40 years ago? God, it can't be that old. No, I don't know when it came out. The Truman Show. Anyway, you can look it up. I'm sure you can find the synopsis of it. It's about a guy who's going through his life and without realizing that he's actually in a sound stage, and everyone in his life is an actor, and he's being streamed on TV 24 hours a day. He has no idea. He thinks he's living normal life. And he goes to get in a boat and take off because he's going to leave the island, and he runs into the side of the theater that he's in, and crashes into the wall and realizes that I'm not in a real ocean. I'm actually on a soundstage. That's how it felt. Now, the first time I saw that movie in the theater, I had a panic attack, and my friend had to take me from the theater to the emergency room. Okay. That's how bad that movie affected me. And that experience that I had with what was my best friend at that time, I had the exact same experience, right? That absolute shock of nothing I thought was real was actually real. Shocking, right? And that does make you kind of go to the opposite extreme of, I am never making another friend on the internet again, ever, because I don't ever want to experience that again. You know, uh, it's there aren't words to really describe how that feels. Okay, and if I can help one person avoid ever feeling that, that I want to do that, because man, I still have issues with it to this day. Um, this person and I, we exchanged lots of gifts. We were sending each other presents all the time. We knew each other's husbands. We knew each other's kids. My kids called her auntie. It's like I thought we were that close. All of that was a lie. All of it was a lie. Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Like one day she had sent me, when I was little, a little girl, my favorite things in the world was strawberry shortcake. I had all the dolls, and they all smelled. And to this day, I can remember that smell. And she said, "Oh, you like strawberry shortcake?" I was like, "Yeah, when I was a kid, she was my absolute favorite, strawberry shortcake." And she said, "I have an actual strawberry shortcake doll." I was like, "A real one?" She's like, "Yep, and it still smells. It's still in the box." I was like, "Oh my gosh." She mailed it to me, right? I cried when I opened that darn thing and smelled it, because it smells exactly like the originals from all those years ago. And this thing meant so much to me. All right. So here's someone who took some information that I had innocently given. My favorite doll as a kid was strawberry shortcake. Uh-huh. How can I use that as a weapon? I know. Haha. Right? So she sent me this doll. I cried. I thought it was the most sweetest gift I've ever gotten. And then when I found out later where she got that doll, all right? She got that doll, but she had worked at a women's domestic violence shelter, and people would donate lots of things for the women and their children. And someone had donated this doll, and she wanted it, so she took it, and then she mailed it to me. And I can't look at that thing anymore. I can't. And I was telling one of my real actual friends about this, and she said, because there was a little girl who lived next door to me who had a rough life, um, and she said, "Why don't you give it to her? Because she doesn't know the history of it. She may not even know what strawberry shortcake. For her, it's just a new thing." And that's what I did. I gave it to the little girl, and man, it felt good to give it to someone who could love it for what it is, but not have that association, right? But man, that's what these people will do to you. That's a toxic relationship. When someone takes an innocent piece of information, a joyous memory from your past, and wields it against you like a weapon that drives a knife right through your heart. Because now, anytime I ever look at strawberry shortcake again, what am I going to think of? What am I going to think of? I'm going to think of that woman and the betrayal and the pain that she caused me. So that childhood core memory is ruined. Thanks a lot. So when I'm talking about toxic internet relationships, they can really affect you in real life in a bad way. I'm not just talking about, oh, there's somebody who's trolling you on Twitter. Whatever, just block them. I'm talking about when you get into a situation with someone who from day one is playing the long game and is going to make you believe you are their best friend and everything's going to be great because they want something from you, even though you can't see it. I didn't see what it was till it was too late. I didn't see if I had seen it coming, I might have been able to stop it, but I had no idea what was coming. No idea. Then I found out. And once she got what she wanted from me, that was the end of it. And suddenly she had to destroy me. So, man, so please don't think I'm being hyperbolic about how dangerous these situations can get. They really can, especially when you let someone in and you really think they're your friend and you really start sharing real life, because when you make a friend, of course, maybe you want to go fly up and visit them, right? Wouldn't it be nice? So, like my two good friends I keep talking about, although I don't want to name their names, uh, I would love to meet them. And the three of us talk about if we met up, the fun that we would have together, and we would have a blast. Right. So that's what you want to do with a normal friend, right? You want to meet up and hang out and share things. But when it comes to the internet, I would say out of every 200 people you make as friends, maybe two of them will be your real friends. Maybe two. The other 198 are trying to get something out of you, and you won't see it coming until it's too late. So I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm trying to say, hey, what I'm seeing, especially in the true crime community right now, is a lot of people embroiled in this situation. A lot of them. And it's very hard to get out of it. But if I can help even one person get out of it before their life gets ruined, I will have done some good in the world. I will, you know. So we have to start by looking at what these relationships are and identifying them so we know what we have to get out of before it's too late. So that's what tonight was all about. We talked about, let me just recap what we talked about. Uh, we talked about the different types of social media relationships, parasocial relationships, creators versus viewers versus social media. Um, we talked about a lot of the red flags for creators, a lot of the red flags for viewers, for social media users, and for personal relationships. So try to remember those. And if you think of more red flags that are very obvious, put them in the comments below. Or maybe that aren't so obvious. Put them in the comments later on so we can all grow and learn our list of red flags, what to watch out for on the internet. Because, man, there's some rough streets out there. I gotta tell you. Um, I do have two funny stories from today because they were really funny. And I always want to end on something funny. Because I'm all worked up now thinking about the strawberry shortcake doll. That really bothers me to my state. Hold on, Mr. Jack. My cat's climbing on me. Go sit over there. Um, yeah, I'm going to be thinking about that now for the rest of the night because, man, that did something to me. But funny stories. I went out adventuring with my husband today because we're doing Christmas shopping and all that kind of stuff. And, my Trader Joe's addiction. They have some cool new stuff, man. So we were out and about, and we had to stop somewhere to pick up a present that we had ordered for my son-in-law. But right next to that place is a little Chinese place that we go to a lot, and they have the best French fries. Like, French fries aren't a big thing for me, but their French fries are so good that if we're in that area, we generally stop and get an order of French fries and share them, just because they're fun. So we stopped to get there, and on the way, I said, "Can we stop and get some French fries?" He's like, "Oh yeah, good idea." So he turns on the thing on the car. Our car has a thing where you can make phone calls through the dashboard screen thingy. Right. Remember, I'm old. This is all new to me. So he's talking to the car. He's like, "Call China, whatever it's called," and it comes back with, "Oh, we don't have that contact." And he was like, "What? I call them all the time." But I forgot that I had Bluetoothed my phone to the car so I could play music from YouTube. Isn't that what you do in the car with the phone? I don't know. But so it wasn't seeing his phone, it was seeing mine. And so he's like arguing with the car. Right? He's like, "I said China X, whatever it was, China Village, I think it's called." They're like, "We don't have that contact." And he's getting all mad. And he says, like, "Oh, F off." And the car goes, "Pardon?" I'm like, "Oh, you're literally having an argument with the car." All right. Now, by this time, we were actually parked right next to the Chinese place because the two stores are right next to each other. And I'm like, can you just walk in the door and order some fries? And he's still yelling at the car. And the car's like, pardon. I'm like, well, at least it's polite, I suppose. Like, he's just telling it to F off and turns it off and walks inside the store. And I was just like in tears of hysterics. Like, 'cause me as a kid would never ever imagine someday you'd be sitting in your car arguing with it about making a phone call. It's like we had the Jetsons when I was a kid. And it's just amazing. It's like this is a Jetsons moment. You're arguing with my car. This is funny. Right, so I was in tears of hysterics. He didn't think it was so funny. He did laugh, but he was actually mad at the car. I thought that was great. Oh, that was so because like it actually talked back. I was astounded. So like now I want to get in the car and go talk to it and see, hey car, how are you doing today? And see if it answers. It might. I don't know. I don't know what the limitations of my car's AI are, but I'm gonna play with it. And the other story, this was this was funny in retrospect, but in the moment it wasn't. I actually need to process this. We were driving down the street, and it's a busy 4-lane road, and there's a turnoff, an on ramp to the highway. And right, you know how it forks off into the turn, there's a big sign there for the highway, these big signposts or a big cement kind of signposty thing. And I'm just looking around, and all of a sudden my husband swerves, not dramatically, but just swerves just a little bit to the right, and we're going straight at this signpost. Right now, in in less than a millisecond, in like what we call a plank second or Planck second, my brain was just like, "Oh, well, I guess this is it. Goodbye, cruel world." My brain was like, "Oh, well, I'm about to die." I didn't even have time to put my arms up in front of my head. Right? It was just that it was that fast. And then, of course, by the time I even had that thought, he turned back and was going straight. And I'm just like, I just had a near death experience. And I look over at him, and he's like, "What? There was a pothole. I was swerving to avoid it." And I'm like, I didn't see the pothole because I wasn't looking at the road. But it was such a profound moment where literally my heart was racing. My vision got blurry because my heart was pounding so hard, and my chest actually hurt from it. Like we finally pulled into the parking lot, and I'm like, I need to just sit here for a minute and get my heart back in my chest because wow, it was amazing to me to have that profound of a reaction in that short amount of time. Like, I deal with quantum physics. I understand certain things that cause and effect are not always in that order. I get that. But to experience something like that profoundly and that powerfully was just like nuts. Like my husband, I said, go in the store. I'm just gonna sit here. I just need to sit. And he was like, I'll stay with you. I'm like, I'm actually okay, but I don't want to move. I need to get my head back. And man, I'm gonna be thinking about that for a while. And he was like, honey, it was just a pothole. It's like, I know, I get that. You did the right thing. You swerved to avoid the pothole. But I had no idea that was going through your brain. I just saw the car turn toward the sign, and we were about 10 feet away from it, going 40 miles an hour. So yeah, I was pretty sure I was dead. You know, it's like, whoa. So yeah. So I'm telling these stories to our kids at dinner, and they're just like, man, we should go shopping with you guys. It sounds like fun. I'm like, guys, that's not fun, But they think we have all these epic adventures, and they're missing out because we don't take them with us because they're expensive. But yeah, so that was my day, and I come home like I need to write my outline for the live tonight, and I'm like, I almost died. It was a very interesting evening, but yeah, I'm fine. What I got after that instead of a smoothie was a trip to the yarn store. So I got another 4 or 5 balls of yarn. I told them I needed, therapy, and I could spend $150 at the therapist, or we could just go to Hobby Lobby. Take your pick. Take your pick. So we went to Hobby Lobby, and I got yarn, so I felt better. You need to use these things to your advantage when you can. But yeah, sheesh, whew, that was a thing. So yes, now I'm gonna go to bed thinking about almost hitting that sign. Every time we go past it, it's like, Please be in the other lane. Please be far away from that sign and that pothole. You know, Yeesh. Goodness, my husband is actually a fantastic driver. He was a professional driver for a little while in England. He's very good at driving, and he did avoid a really nasty looking pothole. We saw it on the way back, so I'm glad he avoided it. But I had just had no idea it was there. I had no idea, so I didn't see him. I just thought he was turning towards the sign. Like, okay, that's a thing, And I was like, if you didn't want me to be buy yarn, you could have just said no. It would have been easier. But yeah. So, whew, goodness. Yeah, but I don't drive because of my disability, so he does all the driving. But normally, we don't ever have problems. Actually, one more story for good. A couple of years ago, uh, we decided to go. No, it's funnier than just that. Hmm. We went to a local pawn store here because there's here in New England, pawn stores are always like seedy, scary, creepy places that proper people don't go to, right? Down here in the South, pawn stores are on every corner, right? And if you go shopping for a TV or a computer or something, you go to a pawn store because you're going to get one cheap and quick. So I think we were looking for, I don't know what it was, maybe a PlayStation 4 or something like that, a couple years ago. And so we go to this pawn shop, and he's talking to some guy about whatever he was looking for. And of course, I'm looking at the jewelry because there's a case full of sparkly things. Of course, I'm going to go look at the sparkly things. And I see this beautiful tennis bracelet. Always wanted a diamond tennis bracelet. And I'm like, oh, look at that one. It was like 3,500 bucks. And I'm like, I really like it. And I had tried it on and it fit because I have large wrists, so they don't always fit. I need an 8 inch, and this was like a 7. I was like, oh, it really fits. And he comes over, he's like, what are you doing with that on your wrist? I'm like, it's pretty. He's like, yeah, you can take that off right now. I was like, no, oh no, honey, I really want it. And he was like, okay, listen. I get that you want it, but we're not going to impulse buy a $3,000 tennis bracelet. That's not responsible because I'm the one always lecturing power equals responsibility. If you want financial power, you have to act responsibly financially. Right? That's my line. So here's him throwing it back at me. I'm like, grr. I was like, all right, fine. He's like, let's think about it. Think about it for a few days, and we can maybe put it on layaway, right? Give you some more time to think rationally. I was like, but I really want it. And I was kind of almost pulling the stomping my feet and pouting, leaving the store without it kind of deal. He was like, come on, let's go. So he talked me down. We left the store. I was like, man, right? Puh. I'm kind of like pouting in the car, like, I really want the bracelet. And he's like, come on, we're going to the car dealership because we had a car. We usually turn our car in maybe every 4 or 5 years and get a new one. And so we get to the car dealership and we're looking at the used cars. And as soon as we pull in, I see this shiny black Mercedes. I was like, oh, I like that car. And he's like, are you smoking something? I'm like, no, let's go drive it. Right. So I walk to the Mercedes, I hop in the driver's seat, and of course the salesman comes running out like, blah, what are you doing? I was like, I want to drive it. He's like, I'll go get the key. And my husband's like, what is wrong with you? That is a Mercedes. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty. He's like, oh, right. So we go for a drive. I'm like, that was fun. It's got sport mode. What does sport mode do? Sport mode really does stuff. That was fun. And I'm like, okay, I like it. And my husband's just looking at me like with his jaw. I'm like, what are you even talking about? Right? We drive like Volkswagens. We're a Volkswagen kind of level car people. And I'm like, okay, we'll take it. And the salesman's like, great, then come inside. And my husband is just like, what are you doing? You can't tell him we're gonna take a Mercedes like I just did. Let's go pay for it. Right? He's losing his shit. We go inside, we do all the paperwork, we do the financing, la 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 la, argue about price, blah 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 blah. Next thing I know, I'm just getting temporary plates and we're leaving in our Mercedes. And my husband, he's just shaking his head like he has no idea how this just happened. And he's like, so I won't let you impulse buy a $3,000 bracelet. So you turn around and you impulse buy a $30,000 Mercedes. I'm like, it's used. It's not like brand new. He's like, yeah, it's like 3 years old. I'm like, yeah, and we needed a car. We came here to get a car. I found a car. And he was just like, girl, you lost your mind. I was like, yeah, well, we have a car. So let's go home. And for days he was just like, I can't believe that. I can't believe we have this car. Until the battery died. You know that you can't take a Mercedes to an average garage to change a battery because the battery cover is sealed with proprietary bolts that only Mercedes wrenches will open? $800 for a battery at the Mercedes dealership. Yeah, he was pissed. Pissed. So he was not happy. But I loved this car and I was like all over the place in this car. Could not stop until it was his birthday and we were coming home one day and I was driving. I don't drive very often cuz of my disability, but I was driving this car anyway. It was beautiful. And I'm going to turn left across 3 lanes of traffic and the oncoming traffic had stopped to let me cross in front of them because the light was red. I was like, okay, so I pull out. I didn't realize there was actually a third lane of traffic, and a car was coming very, very fast. Very, because I didn't see him as I was pulling across the road. As we just about cleared the road, he clipped the tail end of the Mercedes and spun us completely around. And just that, there wasn't much damage. It was all just the side panel was bent and the bumper was hanging off a little bit. Everything else was fine. That totaled it. That alone, just those two little parts that would have had to replace, totaled our car. So yeah, I totaled our Mercedes on my husband's birthday, no less. So yeah, I have not driven since that day. Have not driven at all because I just can't do it. So yeah, I was very sad. Uh, we did get a new car because we had, thankfully, vehicle replacement policy on our insurance. It's worth paying for, trust me, because that covered the what we owed on that car, and we got a new car. We have a Volkswagen again. So yeah, no more buying Mercedes because even if you can afford the car, one thing goes wrong and like $800 for a battery? Are you nuts? The oil change thing would have been 1200. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. That's just crazy. Running the cost of running a car like that is absolutely ridiculous and useless and pointless. So I will never do that again. But it was fun while it lasted. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, my husband, he still loves me. You see the shit I put this guy through? Man, and he still loves me. I am the luckiest woman in the world. Absolutely in the world. Yeah, the insurance on that Mercedes was not cheap. Holy cow. It was double what we have on a brand new Volkswagen. So, yeah. It's not worth it just to have a fun little Mercedes emblem on the front. It didn't drive any much better than what we have. I'm very happy. I really like my Volkswagen. It's pretty. And from the back, the Volkswagen that we have looks almost exactly like the Mercedes anyway. The little dual outboard motor things in the bottom, like boat motors. I don't know what they're called. They look cute. But yeah, I love our car. It's good. It's reliable. And we needed a new battery a couple weeks ago. Cost me $150. Take that, Mercedes. So yeah, I'm happy. Oh, my husband, I can't say he's a lucky man. I've put that man through some stuff. So I gotta get him something good for Christmas. That is my plan. But so yeah, story time. I'm sorry, I'm just in the mood to tell stories tonight. Uh, but yeah, if you're listening to this on the replay, I'm sorry you listened to the last half hour of just random story time. But let's remember our red flags. Let's remember our boundaries. I am setting some really tight boundaries going forward into YouTube. I'm sorry if that offends you, but I have to do it for myself. Keep myself safe. I'm not getting back into another situation I had with Strawberry Shortcake Lady because I can't do that again. That hurt too much. I'm not doing it. So, yeah, I've never tried a Lexus. Never driven one. Maybe for our next one. Um, like the old Jaguars, not the new ones. The old ones back in like the 70s and 80s, those were cool. Uh, I don't like the new Jaguars at all. But anyway, so that's my story time for tonight. Hopefully, we can all take some of what we talked about tonight, um, just take it on board. And because when we go forward through this, we're going to be smarter people. I'm learning, excuse me, I learned a lot of lessons back in a couple years ago when I went through all that, and I'm going to try reapproaching YouTube now using some of these things that I've learned. And if I can put them to use, do it with me. Let's all do it together, and let's be smarter and stronger and happier, because if we do this, we're all going to be happier as a result, and that's the goal, right? That's our goal. So on Thursday, we're going to talk about what to do when you find yourself embroiled in these relationships. How do you get out of it without causing damage to yourself or anyone else? That's a tricky, messy thing, and we're going to break it down piece by piece, and it's going to be great. It is. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. The channel will be monetized in a couple days. I had to redo all the things, but it's not tonight, so don't worry about that. When it is monetized, I don't think I can turn off super chats. I wish I could, but let's try not to do that, because you're just giving YouTube money, and I don't need it. So I'd rather everyone keep all their monies. All right, but it'll be fine. It's gonna be good. So Thursday we're gonna do some sticky, how to get out of a really sticky situation, because man, if you do it the wrong way, it can blow up, absolutely blow up in your face. So let's prevent that from happening. All right. So please, everyone, have a wonderful couple days. I will see you back Thursday. Um, if you want to help support the channel non-monetarily, you can share the live stream. You can leave positive comments and reviews, stuff like that. That really helps a ton, and it doesn't cost anything. And that's what I like. I like not charging you money for stuff that's crazy, because man, especially now. Also, I'm going to say this: if you are a Snap beneficiary and you are struggling, email me, okay? Uh, and we'll do some work on that, all right? And I mean that, okay? Because I don't want anyone, any child on this planet to go hungry, and any way I can help, I will. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna go and find my husband. He just came inside. Let's see what he was doing outside. Might have been something fun. All right, so have a wonderful week. I will see you on Thursday. Please leave comments with your red flags, so we can all get a good list of them. And email me if you want to chat. I'm around. All right, I'll talk to you all very soon. As soon as I finish how to end the stream, it'll be over. Where's the button? Here we go. All right, good night, everyone. I'll see you on Thursday.